Welcome to Association Edge, brought to you by Kelly Dando Consulting. Here we share practical advice, smart strategies, and proven tips for leading boards, managing associations, and growing stronger organizations. Whether you're a board member, a volunteer, or an association professional, you'll find insights to help you lead with confidence and make an impact. This is your edge in association management. Let's get started.
Hi, welcome to Team Talk Tuesday with Kelly Dando, and we have Jamie, and today we have a special guest, Hernan. So Hernan is with Texas A&M, and Hernan is talking to us about getting students involved, or this generation, and how we see them play a role in associations. So Hernan, can you take a few minutes and tell us about yourself?
Absolutely. Well, first, howdy, everyone. That's how we say hello to everybody here at A&M. It's howdy. So howdy, my name is Hernan Guerra. I'm the Industry Relations Coordinator for the Department of Construction Science at Texas A&M. That pretty much means that my job is to go out there and meet companies, recruit companies to partner with our program, hire our students, support our research, and support scholarships and many more things. So it's pretty much going out there, networking with companies and getting support through a partnership.
Awesome. So we wanted to talk about how this generation that you're involved with, how they join, how their life looks, and what they think about associations. So you work with this generation every day. What do you notice about how they think about their careers and their professional development? What are your thoughts on that? How do they see that?
They're much more strategic, I think, than previous generations.
Really?
When our generations in the past were all about getting a job, working hard, working 50, 60 hours a week or something, students nowadays care about their development. So they're very strategic about who they go and reach out. They want to plan their career ahead of time. They care about company culture a lot. So they'll go see, for example, in a career fair, who has pictures of companies doing social events or helping like through something to help the local population, I guess, by donating materials to rebuilding together or stuff like that. But they're very strategic into who they go and talk to. They want to plan early and they care about development in company culture.
That is so interesting. So, do you think this is a generation of students that will stay with their employer for a long time? Or do you think this is a generation that they get into it and they think this is not really what I saw and that affects their employment? What are your thoughts on how long they stay employed?
I think it depends if they hit the nail on the head on the first time, in the first try, of course. They are not afraid to jump ship if they believe that their company is not developing them, that if they don't care about them as much as they care about the company. So that they care more about this quid pro quo in a way. Like, I'll work hard for you, but you also have to develop me. You also have to take care of me. I also need some time off. I need personal life. When generation, especially baby boomers, for example, all they care about was work, 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 work. Then Generation X came in and they care about work, but they were more, they were a little bit different. Generation wise, I see them again very strategic, but they care about the overall work experience. They cared about being developed, but they care also about having a personal life and understanding the balance between one and the other. Understanding that if they get it from that company that they first started working for, then they'll stick around for sure. And I've seen a lot of students that former students that have been in the companies ever since they graduated 8 years ago, 10 years ago, and continue being there. But nowadays, because of the information technology and everything, and they know about everything, they can just go into Claude or and try to find out jobs in other markets, which companies develop more, which companies have a better company culture, and so on and so on. So if they're not getting what they want, what they desire the most, they'll jump ship. Absolutely. Because again, they have information in the tips of their hands.
I
So,
think it's honestly really refreshing to hear that this whole generation has kind of been able to set healthy boundaries and expectations for themselves. Because I feel like generations before, you gave the example of boomers, they just were work. I think as time has gone by and then as people have progressed as a society, they're trying to live this whole life, not just like, I am my job is me. And I love that personally. Maybe I should become Gen Y.
Can we do that? Can we reverse aging?
I would love to.
Sign me up.
So, what's interesting is how does that affect? So, at the association level, if we're doing training, do they deem associations outside of their employers as a way to get that training? How does that look to them?
They do. They're not as well known early on that associations provide training. They need to learn that.
Okay.
Associations need to come in and they need to talk to them about that, about specific trainings and stuff. They're not as well versed in that regards because they're social media gurus, and associations are more a tangible people thing. When they come and join associations here at A&M and there's events, they certainly go for training. They certainly go and want to meet people, doing for networking too. But somebody needs to tell them that an association exists. Luckily, in some colleges and universities, some of these associations are very strong. So when you walk into a building, you'll see downstairs, hey, we're meeting on this date, we're meeting on this date, we're meeting on this date. And students use it, fortunately, for the training and networking on one side, and unfortunately, for the swag and free meals on the other side.
So that's the key, Hernan. You just opened up the door for us. So when we go to a college campus as an association, if we offer the networking and the free food, that is the key.
Yeah, I have a company downstairs right now in my building, and they are very successful talking to our students. If they bring breakfast tacos, kolaches, donuts, or anything, if they bring food, they'll have a line.
I love it.
If they don't bring any food, they may have some students that are very interested because there's always those good students that are truly interested in the opportunities. But sometimes you just have to like reel them in with the food and then show them that we are the solution to their problems and everything.
I mean, I'd honestly follow a Krispy Kreme on a like fishing line anywhere. So I probably am going to bleep out the name.
There's a baseball stadium somewhere in the Midwest that has a hamburger with Krispy Kremes as buns.
You're going to need to send Jamie that information.
I'll try anything once. Well, I think that's really interesting because when you think about an association, obviously it is for the training, but there's also the interpersonal relationships that grow from that too. So, what does networking mean to this generation, this Gen Y? And is it the same concept or is it something that's totally different?
You know, you would be surprised. Personally, this is my opinion. They're all used to networking through social media. I mean,
Hmm.
forever and ever. I mean, they were born into Facebooks, which those are for all people now. So now it's like Instagrams and other things, right? They're born into it. But for them, the networking, as far as associations and all this stuff, is more relational. They
Hmm.
care about actually getting to shake somebody's hand, getting to meet them. It's not just a collection of business cards.
Right.
It's actually, I want to know who you are. I want to know what you do. I want to know how I fit in.
Hmm.
So it's a very different, more thoughtful generation in certain ways than the trophy collecting, business collecting ones that was maybe from the 80s and 90s.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a shift, Hernan, because I feel like when you and I were members of other associations, we won't name them. I feel like it was the onus was on you to go out and meet people and build those relationships. Now I think associations with the shift in generation have that responsibility to almost engage more and help them more. For example, mentoring programs when we get a new member in and connecting people versus just planning an event and saying, hey, go forth and conquer. Because I feel like, and tell me if you agree or disagree with this generation appreciates that introduction and that help probably more than other generations. What are your thoughts?
Well, absolutely. And that's why associations are the ones that create all these competitions for students to go to
Yeah.
meet with them. So ASC, Texo in Dallas, I mean, they're massive competition that gets about 12, 15 universities. But association ASC in Reno, for example, is like 50 universities. But you get CMAA, you get ASA, actually, we talks with them. ASA, Houston,
Okay.
they want to create a chapter at A&M and they want to create a competition for specialty trades to go and participate because they want to mentor, they want to see them, they want to foster relationships from early on. But also it works for them to learn who the superstars are coming,
Yeah.
and how they can get involved and so on. But I think that mentorship is still it's not only it cannot only be through competition. I think there's still a lot of work to be done as far as mentoring from associations
Yeah.
that they could create some sort of a mentorship program where they I don't want to say like maybe adopt a student or adopt somebody and somebody a student can reach out to a
Yeah.
particular person and try to be like, hey, I'm having issues with this class. What do you think? I'm having issues with this. I got these 5 internships offers. What do you think where I should go? And some of us faculty, we're here for them, of course, but I think a third party would be great. So I think the part from association can still grow, but it is already very strong. I don't think that we go to any student competition in the country that is not managed and handled by an association.
Yeah, that's really awesome. I love the adopt a student idea, by the way. We might steal that. You might see that rolling out soon. So, do you think if we get the student early on in college, there's a better likelihood that as an association you can keep them longer? Or do you think that's irrelevant? If they want to join, they'll join post college or during college. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. I mean, they would be appreciative, right? And somebody that feels just like we talked about this generation Y. They want to be developed. They want to be nourished. They want to be noticed. They want to know that they are part of the solution, that they are the value, that they matter. So when they see somebody that cares about them, they'll be care back, which means that if an association is truly working in the benefit of these students, then the students will graduate and become potential mentors. I see that a lot here at A&M, and I don't know about other universities because I graduated from here and I work here, but I see a lot of our students, former students, come back and try to mentor our students that are going into competition teams for these associations, and they just want to give back and big back. But they were part of those teams before, which
Yeah.
means that if they were mentored by somebody in an association, more than likely they will become mentors themselves in the future.
Yeah, I think that's a testament to your school as well, Hernan, that they do that so well.
Absolutely.
So I think something that is really interesting is how you've been talking about how, it's a they grew up with social media, right? They grew up with internet access at their fingertips. So how can associations compete with it,
In my opinion, they don't need to compete. You're not going to compete with social media because if you're on the same side, you're going to lose.
right?
You don't want to create like a Facebook or an Instagram for an association. You don't want to create one for professional jobs because you have LinkedIn. You have many different things. So what does it become? It becomes a personal on campus thing.
Mhm.
I mean, especially for us in construction, online means nothing. I mean, you're going to have to build by being out there in the field, by shaking people's hands, by looking at people in the eye. So an association will compete and win if they have a strong presence on campus on a face to face way. Because if you want to compete with social media and all these folks of what I'm having for dinner and who I hang out with. That's not the purpose of an association, and then you'll lose.
So what I'm hearing is that social media should be the conveyor of information and the association needs to be the bringer of the food and the information.
Food sounds really bad. I mean, it's almost like there's if I don't bring food, I won't have any students. That's not necessarily true because I had lunch and learns last semester from companies where I had very few students.
Okay.
Really?
And I hated that, and we were providing lunch. So it was not only about the lunch, it's about the value, what they're getting. And in a way, the social media is the online networking,
Mhm.
and the association is a tangible, physical, relationship or networking, that you can get, especially for any industry.
Mhm.
So, I think that's why being separate but in the same rowing in the same direction on a boat. Boat has 2 sides. One of them is social media on the left and association on the right. So don't try to fight it, join it.
What kind of topics did you see that were being most capitalized on by by these students?
Yeah, that was going to be my question was, what do they, so as an association, we come to a campus, what are they looking for? It sounds like we need to be very clear on what they're receiving. So what are the
Mhm.
benefits of this? How is this going to benefit you, and what are we offering you? And I'm outside of food, right? But what are topics that are appealing? What do they want to know about?
They honestly care about this. For example, in our case, construction, they truly want to know where the industry is heading.
Okay.
They truly want to know career advice. Where
Okay.
should I go? What should I do? Should I stay in Texas? Should I travel abroad? Should I go to different markets and then come back? Should I go commercial? Should I do residential? Should I do specialty trade?
Okay.
Should I start with internships young as a freshman or sophomore? Or should I just wait until I graduate? They care, truly care about advice from people that they see that they've already succeeded. So they see associations as a group of industry members because that's what they are. An association is pretty much a group of multiple industry members in a specific market segment. So whenever they see them, they're like, I want to be you 10, 15 years, 20 years from now. How do I get there? And I'm graduating in 1 year, in 2 years, 3 or 4 years, or whatever it is. Where do you see the industry heading? Am I going to get a job? Am I going to struggle? So they truly care about careers and insights into their future.
That's so interesting. So, as an association that's accepting these students, do you have any insight as to what are things that they should be offering at the association level? So, is there a benefit for the president of the actual association versus the president of the board speaking with the students? Or what do you think once we even beyond that, once we get those students involved, how do we keep them? Like, do we need to have an association that's high tech to keep them? Do we need to offer other job opportunities? How do you see that?
I mean, opportunities are great. I wouldn't do a mistake of sending HR people to a meeting with the students from an association because what students want to know is, again, they want to see themselves in the shoes of the people that are
Yeah.
talking to, that they're talking to. So they want people that have been professionally successful in the field that they're studying. And if you send business development or HR people, which are very valuable in any organization, that's not who the students want to talk
Yeah.
to.
They just don't see themselves in that person.
They want to talk to somebody that has a tangible experience, expertise in something that they wish to follow. So I don't know if I answered your question.
You did. Yeah. That very much answered my question. So, as we wrap this up, Hernan, and I can't thank you enough for your time because I know you're insanely busy. What advice do you give to association leaders as to how to get this Gen Y really plugged in where they're not just members, they're involved? How do we do that? What do you see that?
Ongoing participation. Keep going, keep coming to universities, create more competitions or workshops
Okay.
for students, maybe create a mentoring program like we talked about, we discovered today together. So it's not me, it's all of us. We discovered a potential new opportunity. So it's always thinking ahead. In the words of Walt Disney, is keep moving forward, right? Don't stand still, especially in this information age. You stand still, somebody else will eat your lunch. So you need to continue moving forward. You can't just rely on what worked in the past. It's great experience, it's a great tool, what worked in the past, but how can I make it work in the future? How can I adapt to make it work in the future?
I love that. And we talk about that a lot, right, Jamie, with not getting stagnant. Because as you know, Hernan, we have a lot of board members who love to say, well, we did it this way.
Uh,
And Jamie and I love to bring new ideas, which is why we're meeting with you, because we want to find out how to get this generation plugged in and off and running. So they're valuable contributors. They're not just members that do nothing, they actually contribute. And it sounds like they have this deep desire to contribute to their community and to their companies they're with, which is so great to hear.
Yeah.
Well,
And
thank you so much, Hernan, for joining us. Thank you, Jamie.
I thought I was gonna get a weird question from Jamie at the
I
end.
totally
yeah.
forgot our question. I'm so
Thank
sorry,
you. Thank
Jamie.
you,
I've been
Hernan. I was
scared
about to
for
be
it.
like, oh my gosh, we're not going to do it. Okay, so we've been talking about college and we've been talking about food, and it is almost lunchtime. So, what was your college go to meal?
Very tough one to answer because in college we're poor, right? So like
Yes.
ramen noodles with water. But I went to college in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
and I came to grad school in the US. So my college go-to food was street tacos in
Ooh,
Mexico because they were cheap and they were available everywhere and because they're amazingly delicious.
yes. I want that right now, actually.
Now,
Kelly, what was yours?
Mine was spaghetti night. So when we would have spaghetti night, and we found out later that the chef was making the spaghetti with chocolate bars, which is probably why everyone was addicted to spaghetti night. It was absolutely delicious.
now
Well, two
in grad
things.
in grad school, I had a little bit more money, so and I was in the US, so
Yeah.
I switched from street tacos to chicken wings. I love.
Jamie, what about you?
Okay, so mine, I don't know, I don't want to say it was my favorite meal, but it's the one that I remember the most, is my college roommate and I would get a Pizza Hut pizza, but we would have to eat it in the car because our third roommate was so judgy. So we would like eat like little in the car and then throw the box away in the dumpster so she had no idea because we didn't want to hear her talk about us to our faces.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah.
That is so funny.
That's not. Oh, and Pickles said she ate absolutely everything and anything in college.
Aw.
Pickles
Sure
is
was
always
great.
a guest, Hernan, on our podcast. So thank you all so much for joining us on Team Talk Tuesday. And Hernan, thank you so much for your time.
It was
And
great.
My pleasure.
Wait to share this.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Part 2.